Okay, it's September 10th, 2020. We'll call this meeting to order, the Natrona County Parks Advisory Board. And we'll start with a roll call. Start over here with you.
Stuart Hill.
Dave North.
Roy Buck.
Tina Cruz.
Jim Miller.
Okay, next item, we will stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item, we've got the August 13th minutes. Everybody had an opportunity to look over the minutes?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, motion has been made to approve the August 13 minutes. Any discussion or additions? Okay, we'll go ahead and call for the vote. All in favor, approve the minutes. Say aye, please.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we'll move on to reports.
Thank you,
Park
Mr.
Director?
Chairman. I'll start with the mountain update. The mountain water well system is still being worked on by 609 Consulting. He sent in an application on the 4th for the DEQ approval so we can repair the existing well. And we're also awaiting the results of our perk test that we did up at the fire station so we can relocate the septic system leach field. And that has to come back from the health department with a design, and then we'll probably be up there building the new leach field. The signage, Commissioner Kaufman and I had a phone conversation with Ryan Peterson, who's with RDG, the company that helped the city along with their wayfinding signing. And we met with him on the phone call on August 28th and discussed wayfinding signage for the mountain park and also leading up to the mountain. Also talked about designing kiosks, conceptuals of those, and some conceptuals of like a monument type signing for the entry to the park. And so we're waiting a proposal from those folks. Also had the meeting with Jeff Sun at the GIS department up at the college. That went very well. These students were excited about going to work for us, and then of course we got this snow, and they haven't been able to get up there yet. Hopefully that'll melt out and they can get underway with cataloging the signing that we do have, and then that'll be submitted into our GIS system and mapped, and it's going to cover, it's going to cover the falls, the ski trails, and eventually the campgrounds. And I don't know if they'll get all that done this year. It depends on the weather. They actually acted like they could get it all done, and we're very excited about doing it. So I think if we can get rid of the snow, they can probably get underway and do that. They were also going to take a look at the biathlon range as well, and we'll try to coordinate our signing and their signing, particularly the 911 emergency signs. And I'm still, Kathy Rosser's been out of town, but I still want to get with her and Central Wyoming Trails Alliance, to look at the master planning, and some of that's on the agenda tonight, later on. The Trail Center, I think most everybody's heard that the decision was made to take the center down and replace it with a new construction. And Lyle Murtha and Bob Lower, each who reviewed the findings of the insurance company's report, concurred, that the damages were, enough that it's probably reasonable to replace the building versus try to fix it. So the commissioners have committed to rebuilding the building in 2021, and hopefully that it's ready for the winter activities. And it'll be run through a public process, so the public will have input on it, the user groups and the like. It's going to be fast-tracked, but it's going to be an invite to the public to look at everything that's going on before it's finalized. Temporary structure that was ordered, it's ADA compliant. It has 2 toilets, a gathering room, and a counter space. And that's being built right now. We expect it late September or October, first part of October. So now to Rotary Park number 5 there. The Park Bridle Trail construction we had a pre-construction meeting on the 31st. Contractor was going to start on the 4th. He moved his equipment in up there, and of course we had the fire on the 6th. And I really don't know if the snow and the fact that the fire went right through where the trail's going to be, exactly when he will be able to get underway due to the ash and the wet snow. We probably have pretty much a mudslide up there right now. And we're going to have warmer temperatures, and we get some wind, I'm sure it'll dry out. And then Worthington will be able to get up there and stake it again because the stakes all burned up, or most of them. And that'll allow him to go to work, but the snow kind of caught us. Do you have any questions on the fire itself? Okay. It was a group effort of all the people in town that fight fire. And every department we had came to that, with the exception of bar none, and they covered all the other calls that the city had at the time.
Mike, how much damage was to the Rotary Park area?
Well, it started at the house, and it started with a well that shorted out, and it caught the grass on fire. Then it jumped into the house. Then it jumped out of the house via, the air currents and went over to the park, probably, 500 foot away. Started again, and it ran all the way down to Garden Creek and made a turn to go up the canyon, and then the wind quit, and the airplanes got there, and we were pretty much able to stop it because of that. And all the modeling said that fire would go up that canyon, and it didn't. But everything was just right. But everything was right at the very beginning for it to go up that canyon.
Mm-hmm.
So the creek checked it. There's some damage down there. There's a lot of trees gone. A lot of the pine trees are gone. Some of the cottonwoods and stuff, got pretty scorched as well. But I haven't been to the other side of the creek. I'm going off what people that were down there said. And then, of course, the snow flattened all the brush that's down there on the creek. I tried to drive down through there yesterday on the lower loop, and you have to go around bushes that are just flattened. So I don't know if those will recover.
I just gave him a picture
Oh, yeah,
from
okay.
up on top, so you can see that.
Okay.
Dave, did you have anything to add as far as the fire situation?
Well, I just want to commend everybody that was up there working. Without a group effort, that never would have been contained. And if it had started up the hill with the conditions that we had, I don't believe that we could have stopped it from going right up over the top. So I do want to say thanks to everybody. The Sheriff Department was up there, Casper PD, Highway Patrol, as well as all the fire agencies. And I'm sure there's some others that were up there that
BLM.
well, they were doing the fire, so, but yeah, everybody did an excellent job. They worked together and got everything taken care of. And, I'm also thankful that we had State Forestry with their helicopter here, and then they brought in a couple of bigger ones later on in the seats that dropped the slurry, so that helped contain everything. And it was a little nerve-wracking, standing up on top of Lookout Mountain and watching everything go on down below it, our lookout point. We were nervous from time to time, so.
Very good.
Thank you. We'll continue on.
All right, Ponderosa Shelter, there again, Luke Ginsbaugh went up there and started the structure, had the walls up. We had a mountain fire truck stand by all the time he was welding for 2 different days, just so that we didn't have a fire. And the snow has messed him up too, because you can't get down in there. So he's gonna be a little delayed finishing that up. Moving on to the Pathfinder update,
Mr. Chairman, can we go back to the Trail Center real quick here? Before we
yeah.
get too far.
yeah, go ahead.
Have any thought about how we're going to pay for the new Trail Center, 1 cent funds, or have you heard anything at all?
You know, they're looking at their different options. That was talked about as one of the options, but there's a multitude of things, public participation, some groups that have, offered to participate. I think it'll just all come together once we know what the cost is going to be. But right now, we have some ballpark numbers, but till we actually get a design and a footprint of where it's going and some of the soil studies done, and that, we're not going to have a total cost. It's obviously going to be, I would anticipate, depending on what we do, easily 400,000 and up, so.
I would think so, yeah. Thank you, sir. On the temporary structures, is there going to be a kitchen in there, or?
I don't think any of that's been decided. The structure itself may, due to the code, now have to be sprinklered for fire protection. And the more things you put in it, the more that is driven. So I don't have an answer on that. That's what the public process is going to be about, and see what everybody can live with.
Okay, so our gentleman who's up there doing the food service is waiting.
Well,
Anxiously, I'm sure.
yeah, he is. He understands right now he's not going to be able to do anything, and he's moved his stuff out. Mr. Miller and his crew took a lot of the skis and caribou heads and some of their property that the ski teams use out, and then today we took out all the appliances, the couches, the heaters, the chandelier. There's probably some things I'm missing, but basically we evacuated the building. We terminated the water supply, we terminated some of the electrical, and there's a few other things we still have to do, but the asbestos is being, if there is asbestos, is being tested before we can tear it down. I don't think there is any, but they have to run the test.
Yeah, that was built in 2003, right?
Yeah.
So that was well after anything should have asbestos in it.
But the contractor's still testing. And really, that's about all I can tell you about it today.
Question, if we open up that temporary building, is it going to be housed, or who is going to be responsible for opening that up for usage?
That hasn't been decided yet. I anticipate using that combination lock that's on the lodge now and issuing, people that are identified as having business in there, the ability to come and go, as well as, I know our operator up there right now that runs the kitchen, Terry, has shown some interest in maybe opening that. But, there isn't going to be like a food service in it, so. But, yeah, we're going to have to cross that bridge when it gets here and decide how we're going to do that. But everybody realizes there's different times it's got to be opened, and there's going to have to be a multitude of people able to come and go. But we've got to have accountability.
I have one other question on that, just clarification. The temporary structure that we're putting in will have a sprinkler system?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then as far as
The size dictates, the number of people you can have in it, so it doesn't need it.
okay. And then the testing that we're doing on the existing well, are we going to have any issues with supplying water to that this winter?
I hope not. If we get it okayed by the DEQ to go in there and repack that well and raise the casing, we're gonna have to put a little pump shed up there and a bladder tank. And then that pump that's in there, we're talking about replacing it and then having it on demand. So it'll feed the lodge. We won't have a storage tank.
Right. Thank you. Now I think we can move on to Pathfinder.
Okay. That's no problem.
Pathfinder upcoming.
Okay, last night, I met with the cabin owners over at the Radisson. It was a very productive meeting. I don't know, there's probably 60 of the cabin owners there, and their wives or whatever. And some of the public, I think, attended as well. But we discussed the project that's scheduled for the lake, mainly the 2 picnic shelters that we're going to go in at the cabins, in order to allow us to spend lake fund monies to gravel the cabin roads. And I explained where they were going and what they were going to look like. And, at the end of the meeting, I think everybody understood the reasoning for it. And I don't believe there was that many people that were against it when we were done with the meeting. So basically, we had a pre-bid meeting on that project this week, and on the 8th, and we've got it out to bid. It includes Cottonwood and Black Beach, and we'll open bids on the 22nd. Now, the hang-up there would be is if we don't have the approval from the BOR, which is the NEPA and SHPO approval. I talked to them yesterday. They don't think it's going to be a problem, but I don't have anything in writing. And they realize we need to get going with this, but I don't have the document to allow me to award that job. I hope I have it by the 22nd because we intend on, going to award at the next commissioner meeting. So any questions on that? The drone flight, as you know, we had some problems with the data. We've worked that out to where our GIS department is going to analyze that data and reconfigure it, and then we're going to resubmit it to the BOR. And that's a process. I don't even believe they're going to get started on that till late September because of their loading in the department. And this wasn't a planned project for the GIS, but that's where we are with that right now. The site modification process and guidelines, I sent those out to the board, and I heard back from Mr. Hill, and then on the actual rules and regulations, I didn't get any comments, so I'm going to move those on forward to the legal department and his review, and then there's a process that he will put those through for authorization by the county commissioners.
If I may, sir, on the guidelines, one that did come up last night after you left the meeting, and thank you so very much for attending. It was very great. I think everybody had every chance they could to ask you everything in the world, and they did. You did a very great job. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
One thing they asked about was the replacement size for the grandfathered cabins that were larger than 800 square foot. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And
Yes.
you want to be able to add that back in there, where if an older house that's over the size, for whatever reason, burns down, needs replaced, I believe what we have in there now only goes back to 800 and not to the original size, which is something, for decks and cabins and everything, they go back to the original footprint. So I know that's something that the users really would like to see in there, and So that's the comments I've got to add to that document.
And I actually received that same comment from our lawyer through another lawyer that had submitted those recommended changes some time ago, I guess. I just became aware of them. I sent an email off to the BOR today to get clarification on that. They immediately came back with these guidelines, the way they read, but they were going to check with one other person.
Okay.
So that's where we are as of, about 8 hours ago. And I don't have an answer. I speculate it's probably going to stay the same, but we'll give them the opportunity to say they won't or will change it.
Okay.
But, yeah, they are driven by the CFR that dictated those cabins should have never been over 800 square feet. And as you know, they'll allow a A-frame to go in, a new A-frame, and it can have, I guess for lack of a better word, a second story, but that's the only type of home that can have that upper loft. And there's been some folks asked to add on, put second stories on. It's been denied over the years. But we've never had a cabin destroyed to go back and ask if we could put it back in the footprint that it's in. And however, as long as I've been here, they've always hung the hat on that 800 square feet, for expansion. If a cabin's smaller than that, you could expand to that, but you couldn't go past that. And, they've allowed decks and that feature not to be counted into that, but the actual footprint of the cabin has always been 800 square feet.
Just want to pass that along.
Yeah,
Users
I'm
group
aware of
comments.
it, and so is
Thank
our
you.
lawyer.
Yeah, it sounded like it.
Okay,
Thank you.
you bet. So that takes us to item 4, the full hookup bathhouse. That's moving right along. There wasn't a lot accomplished on that this last week due to the short week and the weather, but paving's taken place. There's some punch lists on the paving. It appears to be on schedule, and they were putting the roof, getting ready to put the roof on the cinder block walls last week, week before when I was out there. And they're still on track for completion. The shelters that they've ordered haven't come in yet, and 2 of those are the ones that would go in the cabin area. So, and that's all been delayed by what's going on in the country. Water and sewer system still functioning normally. We still plan on turning it off on the 15th of October. We did have some lines freeze on trailers out there this week. Blew the valves, and some of our valves froze. We've replaced most of those that I know of. And it's unique that we got a freeze this early in the season, but I can't remember that happening. I can remember it happened early in the season, but not this late. So, discussion topics, parks rules and regulations. Here again, I'm going to forward those to the county attorney, and then he'll start the process that he has to go through for promoting those onto the Board of County Commissioners for approval. I was going to sneak one item in here that's not on here. Bart Olson with the Sheriff's Office would like to speak to you about the 911 backcountry application that they're looking at putting into place. And the reason I'm doing this right now is because Bart might have to leave on a search and rescue. But you want to come on up and talk about that?
Please make sure your microphone is turned on there.
Green?
Not yet.
Now
Now
we're
it's
talking.
okay, Chairman, and Board. One of the reasons I wanted to bring this up is they were talking about the signage. And about a month ago, maybe a little more, our dispatch center became capable of doing 911 to dispatch. And so you can actually dial 911 on your cell phone, and then all the terminals in dispatch actually receive notice. And the advantage of that is a text message gets out a lot of times where a voice call will not. And the developers are from Jackson, started off with Teton County Search and Rescue. And they developed an app for your phone, so it'll work on Apple or Android. And they call it Backcountry SOS. And one of the things that I wanted to bring it up early after we got it for you guys, if we're thinking about it, it's just a thought that we were thinking is if you guys are doing signs, that this might be incorporated, because apparently talking to the Jackson group over there, several places around town, they have signs up and throughout the community that says, hey, if you're going into the backcountry, put this app on your phone, and it'll give an exact location of your personal location, where your phone's at, I guess, it'll give it an exact location. So, and you don't need a Wi-Fi connection for that to happen. Now, granted, you still need some cell service, but like I said, a lot of times a text message you get out and takes way less data and radio wave to reach out versus a voice call. So I'll give you guys, or if you can, I'll show you these signs and that they have, and it's just something for you guys to consider. And it's coming soon. They're doing a update with the app, and once they get out, then it'd be fully operational here. Because right now, if you put the app on your phone and then start going through the app, it'll give you the location, and it prompts you to either say it's a life-threatening, I'm trapped. I can't remember what, it gives you 3 prompts. And then as well as those, if you can't type anymore, it could at least, you could send that very quick message out to say, hey, I'm in trouble, and it gives your location. You can also continue on and do a detailed text message if you so desired to do that. So it's not the end-all be-all. It's another tool, because you do have to have some service to get out. But like I said, it doesn't require a Wi-Fi connection to get out. And like if you took your phone out right now and said, a lot of people don't realize how to find their exact, unless you got like Onyx, or if you try to go on to Google Maps or any of that, requires a Wi-Fi connection. And I think it'll help us where we're not trying to ping phones. And what a ping would do is it'll bounce off of a tower. So sometimes those are really close, and other times they're a long ways, say 60, 80 miles off. And they're just trying to triangulate off of different cell towers to get a general location where you're at. So it's something that I thought you guys may be interested in as the sign project started, that we may be able to incorporate this on some of the signage to allow people to know that that's available in our community now. And also the phone, if they're signed up and they have the app on their phone, Washakie County's one that has it. There's some counties in Idaho that have it, Montana, of course, Teton County. So it's my understanding, when like you enter the parameters of our county where those towers are going to start hitting, it might actually work just a little bit outside of our county, but your phone will prompt you to tell you, it'll give you an alert that you're in an area that's actively listening for 911 texts. And if you want, like I said, this is just, we had them send us a copy of some of their signage. If you guys want to.
Can we keep this?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Like I said, it shows how, it gives you some information in here, how it works and stuff. I was more interested in this group, I guess, in this setting of like thinking about, as you guys start talking more and more about signs and designing signs, if we might consider putting this information in a corner of a sign or something like that. Does that make sense?
It does, absolutely. One question I have is, if you don't have the app on your phone, then 911 works just like it always would.
Yeah, and actually, and like I said, we are going to put out a press release and try to notify the public that this program is available. basically, all the app does is it's a quick reference. So all you have to do is hit one button and it puts you in that app. And then the app leads you through it. But like if you picked up your cell phone today and texted 911, it actually works. It's operational within the dispatch center. But to my knowledge, there hasn't been a lot of press release or anything on that yet, that it's out and it's available.
Do you know if this is going to work on multiple companies? You know, it's like if you've
Yeah.
got Verizon, I mean, will it hit all the towers? or
As
will
far
it
as I
just
know,
hit-
yes.
You know, because I know there's a lot of applications out there that'll go to any tower that's out there instead of just a phone call where it's specific to.
Yeah, if you dial 911, like even the phones that are shut off, most of those, if you dial 911 on, we
Right.
don't have any information on them. But the way that the networks are set up, if you're dialing 911, it's going to grab whoever's tower it'll get to.
Right.
And whatever cell company you got. So, like I said, it's not foolproof.
Well,
But-
nothing is right now, so, but that's a lot better than what we have,
Yeah.
or have had anyway, so.
There's not a lot of counties, there's still several counties in the state that their dispatch centers aren't set up to receive 911 text messages. But ours actually was of a month ago or so. We got that capability. And like I said, this is just kind of an app that the developer came up with in Jackson. And the nice thing about it is you just hit the one button on there and it'll take you directly through and then start leading you through. So,
Very good. We appreciate the information.
you betcha.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, it'd be a good thing to add to our Facebook page.
Yeah, like I said,
As an
with-
announcement to get
Yeah,
out to our
it's my
users.
understanding, like our preliminary conversation is we were thinking about Lori Jackson with dispatch and then maybe somebody from the sheriff's office and then actually getting a press release put out. But like I said, if you looked in that package, it hit a show coming soon. It's just, they're waiting on a few updates in the computer system and then it'll be fully operational
Okay.
shortly. And then when it gets to that point, I think, like I said, our intention was to get a press release out. And I'm sure it'll be on like the emergency manager's Facebook and the sheriff's office Facebook and wherever else they decide to put it.
Right over here, yeah.
Could be put on parks pretty easy. And even if you're not doing the signage, that was one of the things, if we can get the information out that that's available here, I think it'll be a good thing.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bart.
Anybody have any questions for,
Park rules and regulations, did we ever get a list of what changed from the last one we approved to what you just gave us?
There were some minor wording changes. You didn't get a red line version, no? you
No, we
didn't?
haven't.
No.
No. And I'll have to get that to you.
Okay.
Was in the back half of it, some of that stuff changed a little bit. I mean, it's little, small wording things that, some came from Eric, I think, and, it's not a lot.
Okay, there's the drones and, do you remember?
Yeah, the
those?
drones was, some of that was, we took out the designated area.
Right.
That part changed.
And you good with that, Roy? You read that part?
I haven't seen the final draft. So, yeah, if we could get a copy of the draft when Eric Nelson has completed his
You
looks.
didn't get that in the
We
email?
have,
No.
yeah.
Oh, we did?
Send them to us.
Okay.
Okay.
No,
I didn't think we had the latest and greatest.
We don't have the red line one.
You don't have a red line one, yeah.
Right,
there's-
but the one that we have, that we saw, had all of the final.
Had all the changes in it, yes, sir.
It's just hard to decipher which ones were, what was changed, so.
Yeah. When you actually turn all that on, it's pretty hard to read.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. There's, yeah, one or two changes over the year and a half, two. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Any questions for Bart?
Do you know of any of the other counties that are working on getting this 911 system? You sat down too
I
quick.
believe, looking at that list, when I looked at it earlier today, I think it's Washington County, Teton. Does somebody still have it in front of them?
Albany, Sweetwater,
Park.
Park.
Okay, Park's got it. There's not many.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the others were actually working on getting their system.
That I'm
up to-
unaware of, like how many other counties are trying to update their 911.
Okay.
But I know those ones that are listed. And I don't know, maybe it's a cost thing. It's probably, it's taken us to the,
Yeah.
within the last month or so before we had the capability, so it's probably an expensive endeavor.
Yeah. Anything to do with that is expensive.
Before we let you go, Bart, I would like to check with Commissioner Kaufman is with us by telephone, listening in, and I just wondered if she had any questions for either Bart Olson or Mike.
Bart, I just have a question for you. So I think it's great. I love the press release, and if I can do anything to help, I think that'd be kind of media worthy or some interview stuff. But I was curious, is that the only app that the sheriff's office is considering? So I was thinking about, the kind of the idea of putting it on signage, and I love it. But I'm curious, is that something that we would really then commit to for an extended period of time where we wouldn't change the app, or is that something that you think is going to be, every couple of years we look because somebody else has got better technology and is more likely to find someone? Or do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Right now, when we visited with them, they've been using it for a while and it's been successful for them. One of the things they did do was they had a $99 initial setup fee. They waived that for us, and then just asked if people would use it and comment on it, and ask us to advertise it. So that's the only thing that they've asked for. And it's a pretty basic technology, so I don't know that anybody else is going to come out with something new. But I suppose that's a possibility. But yeah, right now we don't have any intention or haven't looked into other things. And when we looked on, I've done a little bit of research on there and didn't see anything else out there quite the same program that they had. I mean, there's some other stuff out there for the companies that are advertising their locator beacons and that kind of stuff, but this was really more geared towards a direct app to work with dispatch centers. And there's not a lot.
Okay.
I didn't see any other ones on the internet that dealt specifically like that.
No, it sounds great. I think, Roy, too, one of the things on my mind is getting in front of the gear shop. So that's just that's another conversation. But no, Bart, thank you so much.
You bet.
Okay, Commissioner Kaufman, did you have any questions for Mike?
No, not at this point. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Did you have anything else?
I don't, one other item on the agenda for you there?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yep. So, okay, and thank you for the report. I appreciate that. And I just want to say that we appreciate the amount of information in the short span of time. So appreciate your concise reports. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
We have the Central Wyoming Trails Association, and I believe, okay. If you come forward, please state your name, and then, looks like your microphone is on, so.
Okay,
Welcome.
I am Tia LaShin. I'm Vice President of Central Wyoming Trails Alliance. I'm here to talk about two things tonight. I believe, do all of you have the information? Did you get that forwarded to them?
I didn't get the email with the one that you had done, the
Oh,
newest one.
oh, check your email.
Okay.
It's
Oh, well,
out
there's
there.
possible it could have got caught in
Yeah.
spam.
So, two things. One, Central Wyoming Trails Alliance has an MOU with Park County, Natrona County, to maintain the trails that are up there currently, the single track trails. And so we have gone through in the last couple of weeks and looked at some areas that we need to do some maintenance on. And this has to do, there are 5 different areas, items that we'd like to cover. The first one is the Copper Trail reclamation. And initially, we were going to try and amend those unauthorized jumps that were up there, but since then, those have been taken out. So we went up and looked at the area after that, and some of the trail also got taken out and displaced. And as a result of that, trail users are side cutting the trail, basically making a new trail. So we need to go up and reestablish the Copper Trail in that it's probably 50, 60 feet, and reestablish that by scratching in a trail and probably using some rock barriers to designate the trail. Instead of going around, there's a specific tree with a trail marker on it. Instead of going around the trail, you can't see where the trail goes anymore, so people are cutting across the ground. So we need to go and remedy that. And there, I can pass this around as I move through each one. I'll pass it around, you guys can pass the things. Also, there was a hazard tree mitigation that on the Eadsville Trail, as you're going counterclockwise, there are a few dead trees that are starting to lean into the trail. If there's a big wind event, those are going to come down. We would like to take a chainsaw up there. We have a certified sawyer. He still has his federal sawyers. His name is Austin Burgess. He's a firefighter, and he can remove those trees safely and effectively and buck up the wood, and we can stack it. So these are items that we're requesting. There are, I believe, when we went around, we found about 5 hazard trees throughout the Eadsville Trail that need to be mitigated and taken out. There were 2 actually down in the North 40 on the single track. We're not talking about ski trails. We're talking about strictly the single track area. So that would, basically just require your approval of us going in there and cutting those out and falling those trees.
And I would ask Mike, Mike, do you have any heartburn with that? Questions?
I
comments?
haven't seen any of that, but I'd like to look at what they're talking about in the field.
Okay.
And I'd like to address that jump that came out, as long as we're on that subject.
Sure.
You know, that was not approved by Parks to go in,
Right.
and we weren't aware of it. And we took a heavy piece of equipment up there to remove it, and we did gouge the trail doing that.
Yeah.
There wasn't any option. When you chase rocks around with a front-end loader, that's what happens. But, we intended on fixing that trail back, but weather hit. And the trees you're talking about, I don't even know if they're gonna be standing yet
I
with
don't know
this
either,
weather.
but
But,
as soon as it'll melt.
there'll be a lot of trees down.
Hopefully.
So anyway, we'll take a look at all your requests and
Okay.
and get back to you.
Yeah, if you could, get back to us as soon as possible. As soon as the snow melts, we want to get up there in between the next snow event,
So just to
I might
clarify,
just
I'm sorry.
I just might meet with you and go up there,
Yeah, me and
or
Austin.
somebody that you
Yeah,
wanna
we
send.
can hike around and show you what we're talking about. So there's a couple of other items. On the North 40 Trail, there are some log rolls that were established when the trail was built. But on the backside, as you come, again, going counterclockwise on the trail, as you go over the backside, the logs are starting to roll out. Snakes are starting to get in there. What we want to do is permanent, I guess, considering your nature, stack logs closer together and anchor those with rebar. So we want a more of a permanent feature, and if we pack them tight enough, the snakes won't get in. So here is a picture of what that will look like. And this is all part of our fall maintenance proposal. We have another long-term proposal to discuss in a little bit. On the Eadsville Trail, there are, just the use on the trails this year was substantial. I mean, it was heavily used. A lot of people got out, a lot more biking occurred up there, hiking. And so there are some areas that we need to go back in and sure up the downslope portion. And the rocks have been exposed, and with the dust, because it's been so heavily used, the ground up there prior to the snow event was just pretty much powder on the trails. So we need to go in and sure up those areas, and that's on the east upper Eadsville Trail. So here's another picture that shows what we need to mediate on that. And the last part, the north section of the Eadsville Trail, early in spring, it was probably mid-May, a tree fell down and it was not removed. And it's in a section of the trail where the flow, it actually, when you come around and meet that tree, it's kind of a hazard. It surprises you because you kind of come around through a turning section and then you're, users just put logs on either side to make it a log roll, which got us through, I guess, the summer, but we would like to just remove that completely. So that would be another area we would need to use a chainsaw. So, and I don't have a picture of that.
I'm sorry, that was which area?
The Eadsville North.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then, so just taking all of these together, I think the process going forward will be working directly with Mike Hagler
Okay.
and getting approval that way
Okay,
for the fall projects.
sure. Did you guys want to look at this?
Sure.
It's the other half
You,
of that.
you made some work.
So. Okay, so we can, it will be, Austin Burgess and myself are the lead on the fall maintenance for this year. So we'll get with Mike Hagler and work that out. Okay, so on to another project that project plan. CWTA has always wanted to expand the trails on the mountain, and we are looking at the McMurray Mountain Park area. So we have the McMurray Mountain Park Long Range Trail Development Concept Plan. Right now, it's in a draft form, and I want to emphasize that this is a draft. We are in communications with the Biathlon Club, and we need to work with the county land manager to work through this plan, but we do have a concept, and we have put it together here in my hand, and Roy probably will find that in his spam
I
box.
just looked, it's not there, so I don't know what happened to it.
Well, I'll send that again.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
so basically what it entails is extending the Eadsville Trail over into the Biathlon area. So where it is currently, on I'd call it the southeast point, and here's another photo.
And I think we have those, so,
Oh, okay, good. Okay, so if you flip to like page 3, it shows you where I'm talking about. So there's that point, and what we want to do is, there are kind of three phases to this plan. It's a long-range plan. It's like a 6-year plan to get this done. It's extending the trail system over into the McMurray Park area. Okay, first phase would be a perimeter trail, and that would be a beginner entry-level type trail. It would be a single track for mountain biking, trail running, snowshoeing, and backcountry skiing. Okay, so basically it wouldn't be the wide one where you do the skate skiing and any of that. And it probably wouldn't even allow for a classic ski. It would be kind of tough with the undulating ground and stuff.
The trail you're talking about would be similar to the current Eadsville Trail.
Correct, yeah. And so we would like to do that as phase 1, and we are in communications with the Biathlon Club. We do understand that they have a user agreement for that part of that area. And the initial response from them is positive. They would like it. We just need to work out how and exactly what type of trail would work for everybody. So, on that phase. The other phase we would like, if you go through and flip into some more phase 2 into that plan that Mr. Miller has there, we have seen, and even though they were unauthorized jumps, the establishment of those jumps indicates that there is a desire in the community for features like that. And so that's been growing. The mountain biking community is getting more and more skilled around Casper, and there are some very, very skilled riders. And currently, they leave town to go ride. They go to the bike parks and they go other places. And it's our goal to help keep them here, so they can enjoy what we have currently here. So we would like to establish more technical trails, and in phase 2, that's a time requirement of about 3 years. We're proposing 2 to 4 technical trails. And so I think Mr. Miller's looking at it, and the slopes will be moderate to steep. Features will range from small to moderate drops, small to moderate jumps, rock gardens, sharp berm corners, these things they call tabletops, where if you have the jump and then you fill in between the jump and flatten it out, that's a tabletop. And these trails will be considered intermediate to advanced. So that would be phase 3. They would come off of the side slopes of the perimeter trail. That's our initial thought. But if we get out there and the terrain dictates a little bit differently, we may have to adjust all of this. So a trail design would definitely have to be put together for this, not just a trail proposal, but an actual design. And then there's phase 3. So phase 3 is not actually over in the McMurray Park area, but it has 2 parts to it. It's the first one is a skills area that has rolling, just moderately low rolling terrain, small berms, raised treads that people can learn on, people can teach. There is a women's group that has close to 40 members, and it's called Get It Girl, and they teach skills, and that group is growing and growing and growing. And currently, they use the Eadsville Trail and things like that, but an area where they can actually go and teach appropriate skills and get riders to enhance their mountain bike skills. It just makes sense for public, safety of mountain bikers.
And to interrupt real quick, would that be similar to the skills area at, say, Glendo State Park,
Similar, yeah.
near that Two Moons?
Yep, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, something like that. So in conjunction with that, we have what we call the campground connector trail. And this is a beginner trail, entry-level trail, and basically what it does is just connect all the campgrounds together. So you can ride from campground to campground to campground, or walk, or hike, and you don't have to go onto the road. So that's also in there, part of that. That's like the rough draft, I think.
Yeah,
I
that's
fixed
the,
it.
this is not the
Yeah.
latest draft, so.
So that is our proposal. Those are what we would want to see happen, what we're working towards. It's going to come down to a cooperative effort between the county land managers, the biathlon club, CWTA, and all those that have a stake in the trails up on the mountain. So,
So one question that I have, as far as the developing the plan, so we've got a rough draft, but who would you have actually, would CWTA develop the plan, or would?
yeah, CWTA would take the lead on the project. Is that what you're asking?
Well, who would actually look at like trail development itself?
Trail design?
Trail design, trail development?
Trail design, it depends on which trail. If we're talking about, they have to be built to standards. And currently, we use a document that's jointly made between the International Mountain Biking Association and the Bureau of Land Management. And it gives specific guidelines that you follow to build quality trails and safe trails. On our board, we do have members that do know how to do that. However, if somehow we manage to find somebody who could, a professional team to come in and design the trails, we got enough volunteer labor to help build the trails. There's not a shortage of labor to do this. CWTA has not done any trail work, building trails for approximately 2 years. And we have been getting questions of why. A lot of it is we just didn't feel like we had any momentum and support. Well, now I feel like we do have some support, and we want to move forward and try to make Casper a destination and not just a pass-through. So, any other questions?
If you could send me that in my email,
If you give me your email.
it's M. Hagler. I'll just write it down for you.
That's good, because I don't even have a pen right now. I ran over here from work. So, and then on the back side, as you guys can read, the proposal talks about who will maintain the trail. CWTA has the MOU with the county right now to do trail maintenance and build trails, and we would extend that. We'd like to extend that. So CWTA would be the maintenance portion of the single-track trails. When it comes to anything that, like the biathlon may want to do a different type of trail on some of those areas that they've cut down the trees and made corridors on. We're not sure yet exactly how that's going to play out. They have the equipment to do that. We have the tools to maintain single-track trails, but not any of the big ski trails and things like that. So, who will build the trail? CWTA and the community. We need community buy-in. You have to have the community up there helping you build it for them to want to take care of it. So, As far as liability, CWTA has checked into the Wyoming recreational use statute, which most parks and things like that actually use. And basically, it's just, it's in the Wyoming statutes, Title 34, Chapter 19, and it explains how recreational use and liability go together and how you can't be held completely liable. So, and as far as taking steps to protect neighboring property, a properly designed trail with known property lines, and if you use a loop system, that keeps people inside. Instead of going to an end and then coming back out, you use a loop system, and that keeps people, one, it enhances the user experience. You can go back and forth and get more mileage, so to speak, out of a trail, and it also keeps people in. There may be areas where we actually need to post this is private property past this point. You know, signage will be huge. We will have to do quite a bit of signage along, especially the eastern and the north boundary of that McMurray property is private.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've looked, we know. So, any questions? Any comments?
Mike, did you have any questions?
I don't. I have this for you, though.
Okay.
It's kind of a lot of paper for one address. Okay.
As well as the fall
Okay, appreciate it.
Well, one other thing I wanted to just briefly mention is this is something that was addressed in the KLJ Mountain Master Plan that was done 5-6 years ago. And have you looked at that, or anybody in the club looked at that at all as far as what was in the master plan? Are you kind of aware of that, or?
It does mention bicycling in the master plan, but we haven't like dug through it line item by line item.
And I think as far as my recollection is, there wasn't anything specific.
No,
You
it
just
was
mentioned
pretty
areas.
vague, yeah. It just mentioned that there were no trails here for mountain biking, or there wasn't anything usable to put in their plan at that point.
I just think that's something that we need to be aware of going forward. There are some ideas in there, so.
I think there was a section in there where it gave a little detail on going from campground to campground.
Mhm.
You might look into that, because I think,
I did see that, you're
I think it
correct,
was.
yeah,
but thank you.
yeah.
And just before we let you go here, we've still got Commissioner Kaufman on the phone, and Commissioner, did you have any questions for Tia with CWTA?
So Tia, you did a great job, and thank you. So it's awesome to hear what the priorities are. So one of the things that we're going to look at next week, and this is with my Visit Casper hat on, is how do we help bridge the gap between the work that the user groups want to do and what the county is able to do. And Jim, this might be a question for you. I know it's not necessarily in the KLJ plan, but we also had a supplemental plan done at that time, and I want to say that the vendor's name is Kay Lee or something like that. Do you remember? Where it was a little bit more extensive on a master plan for trails. Do you remember that?
I don't.
Yeah,
Okay, I have a copy, Tia, so I want to make sure that we get that to you. So it'll probably be Monday by the time when I get back into town, and I'll get it to you.
Okay.
But one of the things that we're looking at is how does that agency of Visit Casper take more of a lead role, helping with the plan design, and then there's obviously, as Tia mentioned, so many people who are willing to do the work. But how do we help bridge the gap between those two and get people where they need to be? So obviously had a lot of blowback on some of the stuff that's happened in parks the last few weeks. And how do we do it better? So I think there's a real opportunity. So Tia, I'm glad you guys came tonight. I appreciate the energy that you're putting into this and the thought. It's no small feat, and I know you're a group of really passionate volunteers. So thank you for your leadership, and I look forward to seeing where this can go. And I will get you a copy of that master plan that was done under KLJ so that you can see what it was.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, if you do get copies of this draft, could you ship it out to the rest of us?
Absolutely, we'll make sure that everybody has
Yeah,
a
so
copy
keep
of it.
it.
We'll
I
we'll
thought
get
I
that ironed
said
out.
send, but I may not.
Who knows? Anyway, we'll get that ironed out
Yeah.
before the end of the meeting.
This is fantastic, yeah.
Yeah, I'm, just like I've been talking about the last few meetings when we, I think we're all optimistic about what can happen up there, and I know that we've been twiddling our thumbs for a couple of years, and I really feel like we can make some strides. So, and I know I've said this more than once, it's just, hold on, it's coming. We're going to get it done, and we've got a lot of people pushing. You heard from Commissioner Kaufman, the Board of County Commissioners are interested in making this happen. We're definitely interested in making this happen, and I'm happy to see members of the CWTA here, and spoke with some of your members in the last few days, and I think we've got a good group that'll make some stuff happen. So we just need to get a plan together and then drive it
Yeah.
forward.
Yeah, a plan that everybody, all of us can agree on, you know. The one thing that we've noticed is that the more unauthorized trails and stuff you see out there, that's just indicating that people want these. So to help decrease those activities from happening, we need to provide those type of trails to the community. And the Casper Mountain Trail Center area it's getting pretty well used. I mean, summer and winter. So to expand the trails out takes the stress off of the landscape there, the vegetation and the trees and the trails, and spreads it out over a bigger area. And also decreases the amount of congestion, you know, so we don't have all these accidental run-ins with, say you have a snow biker and a skier, or say you have a mountain biker and a hiker, you know. We just need more trails because the community's going outside, more and more outside. So, thank you. Anything else?
True, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation. Okay, I think we've covered everything in the updates. We'll move on to public comments. If you come up to speak, please come up and stand in front of the microphone, and we'll make sure that it's on, and then state your name. And kind of keep it brief, 3 to 5 minutes if you would, please. So,
I hope I even have 3 to 5 minutes. But I'm Gabe Hathaway. I wanted to just come forward and thank you guys for listening to the community and the outreach for the need for these type of trails. It's not just that people go and drive to Colorado to play and come back. It's that Casper College students who graduate here with a degree in engineering and all the aspirations in the world feel that they have to move to live the quality of life that I know that Casper is totally capable of providing. It has unmatched recreation, and I know that with support of people like this who are willing to expand into that, it could be a great asset. Hogadon's an amazing facility. I know that the Nordic zone is world-class. It gets talked about. You can't find that anywhere. And for skiing alone, it's a great resource for the winter, but to maximize it for spring, summer, and fall too just makes absolute sense to me. But again, thank you so much for your input and taking the time to listen to the caring people at the Trails Alliance and the community, because I think that for me, what really hit hard was that people reached out who don't mountain bike, and they said, we were excited about those jumps. Those were neat, and you know the trails were developing, and we love progress, and it's just an admittal from Casper, that they'd love to see this growth, you know, so, thank you guys.
Thank you.
My name is Ian Walker, and I'm just going to take a few seconds as well, kind of echo what Gabe just said, and also mention some things that Tia brought up in the phase. Being a young professional here in Casper, does get kind of frustrating when you feel like you have to leave this town to go enjoy various things. And, you know, I hear people say, well, we have the mountain, we have, you know, various things like that, which we do, but some sports are evolving, people are getting better at their sports, people just find other ways to want to spend their time recreationally, and when Casper doesn't have it, like I said, it's it's terrible to have to drive at least 2.5 hours to the nearest, you know, bike park or an area that's specifically designed for, you know, progression of mountain bikes. So it is, it's nice to see that we're having this discussion. I recently joined the CWTA, so that's a fun project for me to be a part of and see how these are going to grow. And like Gabe said, we appreciate the time that you guys are listening, but I also want to echo his frustration that, you know, Casper sometimes feels like it doesn't like progression, or doesn't feel like it wants to move forward sometimes. So as a young professional, we really want to see growth and progression. So thank you guys.
Thank you. That it? Don't be shy. We don't bite. Well, Dave might bite.
Some of them do.
Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, we'll move on to board member comments. Start with you, Jim.
Just a couple things. Jacobson's warming hut some of the boards are coming apart up on top. And the Nordic Club went up and fixed those up, so those are all intact and whatnot. I know I've had a lot of calls saying that the weather just, blew them down to, just slats and whatnot. So that's taken care of. Joe knew about it, and he said, if you can get to it, great. So we got to it. I think I'd also like to make a comment, Mike, on the possibility of having someone maybe up there on the weekends on that temporary building. I know Terry sold a ton of trail passes last year, and I think that won't be available if no one's there to collect trail passes or to sell trail passes. And that, a lot of people just go up there just to buy trail passes and go ski. I think we'll lose that if we don't have anybody up there to attending, whether it's weekends or whenever.
Yeah, we'll look at that.
Yeah. And Tia, thank you for coming tonight. It was great to hear the forecast, what you got planned. And we're on board, and I think you've delivered, and thank you.
So with the trail passes, is there a way to purchase online? Do you know? Can we purchase trail passes online? Can people purchase online? Is that an option? Or
No, because
No?
the ones we print out, you can't. You have to come.
Okay.
We can mail them to you. You can come to the office, but
Okay.
they're available. I think the form's online to do it, but you still have to get the
Okay.
blank that you wear around your neck.
Right. Okay. I didn't know if those, it seems like I've purchased and then they send them to you in the mail. So,
Yeah, that's,
But-
a lot of people do that. A
Yeah.
lot of people walk in and get them, but I believe the form's there.
okay.
And, you can email it to us, and we'll print them up.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all for the backcountry app. I think that is a great, would be a great asset and a great safety, for up on the mountain. I think that would be a great thing to have. Also, the Casper College students, I love to see that students are getting out and getting educated and helping out in the community. If the snow melts, or can we get them some snowshoes and
Well,
they
some
could go up
of them
there and-
ski.
Okay.
So, yeah, they'll probably
That'd
get
be
some of
great.
it accomplished.
And the great presentation, Tia. I think a lot of time and effort was put into the presentation, so I think there's some great things. I'd love to see Casper grow also. Thank you.
I do appreciate your presentation tonight. I don't think anybody disagrees that we have a lot of potential on the mountain. And I think there's a lot of things that we need to improve on up there. The trail systems is just part of it. And I do want to thank Mike, because he's taken on, I know what he's had to deal with these last several months, because I've had to deal with a lot of it too, with the fire season the way it is. I don't usually think snow getting here this early in the year, but this is an exception. Garden Creek was one of the examples of that, you know, we all were very nervous about that. And I do think that there's a lot of things that we need to continually move forward with and progress. And, you know, there's a lot of things on the table right now that are going to be changed over the next year or two, you know, and I think the trail system, I think this is a really good time to come in and develop and start doing plans and work forward on a lot of this stuff. Because I know that everybody up here is in favor of doing things, and I think with the other changes that we're going to have on the mountain, that this is a good time to move forward with that. So I do appreciate everybody for coming out tonight. We do support you, and I know you guys support us also. So we do appreciate that. A lot of things going on all over the county right now throughout the park system. And like I said, I know Mike's had his hand full on a lot of different things, and he's done a good job. And I just want to give you credit for that, because I know that's taken a lot of extra time, a lot of extra effort. So
It's been fun.
You said that with a straight face.
yeah.
Don't trust his poker hand. Yeah, poker face of his. Tia, yeah, thank you very much for coming in and doing this. I know we had some folks here who were a little upset about some of the things that happened on the mountain, and I think you helped settle that down, what we're trying to do. Our last meeting here, you know, I made a pretty big point. We've got to get a plan, and we got to get somebody to lead that plan. And we appreciate your lead there. I hope everybody else helps out and participates as the public in this, along with our landowners. We all need to be very public about what we're up to, so there's no misinformation, and this will all go very, very smoothly. I've been on this board a while, and it's really good to see this all coming together and moving forward as a group, as a community. So it's nice to see you all here. Thank you for coming out. Appreciate it. Mike, one more time, thank you very much for coming out to the users group last night. I think he explained the roads, he says 3 times. I think I heard about 12. And they finally all got it. And I would have gotten a little more frustrated than he did. He did a very good job. I appreciate you. I know I'm not the easiest one to work with at times also, so I appreciate you putting up with me. We got a lot to do in the lake this fall to get it all wrapped up, and boy, do we have a lot of work on the mountain. So let us know how we can be of service to you. Please do reach out to us.
Yep, appreciate that. I'll say one thing, you know, due to the fire, we're going to have some significant erosion at Garden Creek, especially on that west side. And you really can't go over there right now. But when that, if we get some sunshine and wind and that all dries out, some of you folks might want to take a look at that, because it might need some, we know we also have a contractor working in there, but there may be some things we need to do to stop significant erosion for the spring runoff, because it's all ash. So it's going to be difficult to navigate it right now. It's going to be more like slime and slurry. There's a lot of slurry in there. You'll see it, but and it's, you don't want to get that on you because it doesn't come off. But anyway, that's probably going to be a more immediate need than, you know, because of what's happened. And there are some trees in there we're gonna have to do something with that are down, that we actually had to fall for the fire. Okay?
Thank you.
All I have, thank you.
That all you had, Stuart? Okay, Commissioner Kaufman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a few things. I know it can be frustrating, and me too. I've been on the commission almost 2 years, and it feels like we moved slow. But I was taking notes during Mike's report, and we're working on the well, signage, the trail center, the bridle trail, Ponderosa. Like, I promise you, if more things are happening than probably have in some time, and a lot of that is just the leadership and people willing to be in the right place and do the right thing. Mike, it wouldn't be a meeting if I didn't get to say thank you. So I know the every day I think Mike does something different, where one day he's digging in gravel pits, the other day he's helping lead to put out a fire. So I really appreciate your leadership. Several of the Parks Board members have helped push things forward. I know you guys have taken a lot of calls on some things that we've got to work through. So it really does feel like it's a team effort, and we're all working and trying to propel this thing forward. So I appreciate everybody's effort. I'm super excited about where we can go on the trails piece, and I look forward to these projects on the mountain being done, and then we can move them forward. So that's all, Chairman. I'm just really grateful for everybody's effort.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Finally, I just want to echo several of the board member comments and a couple of things that Tia talked about and Commissioner Kaufman mentioned. We have a lot of balls in the air right now. We have a lot of things happening with facilities on the mountain, and just taking care of basic infrastructure is probably our first priority up there. Getting those campsites that are falling apart and restroom facilities, there's a lot of stuff happening. And I think that the biggest thing, and I just keep saying, be patient, be patient, be patient, but I think that everybody is going to be shocked at what happens this next summer. I think that we're on the brink of pushing through some of these projects that we've been talking about, and now with the lodge issue, we're looking at a new facility up there, and then incorporating biathlon and what's happening at Hogadon and the county parks facilities. There's just a lot of stuff happening and a lot of opportunities, and we want to hear from everybody. We're going to make that process available to as many people as possible. We're going to hear you. We're going to hear your voices. We're going to incorporate as many different user groups into this process as we can. We're not going to satisfy everybody, but I think that we're going to do some cool stuff. And I'm again super optimistic. We've got a lot of people pushing now to get this done, and Mike Hegler, who again, I'll just say it also, thank you for the work that you've done. You've had a lot on your plate, and but also know that you're extremely capable and experienced at this. So we're going to get it done. So that's all I wanted to say, is just keep your positive thoughts, and let's try to work together. We're going to have some opportunities for people to get together and talk about it, and that's going to happen fairly soon. So that's it for me. And with that, I think we need a...
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, motion to adjourn. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.